Anguish on the stock markets as trade slows and jobs are shed. The world's richest countries are sliding deeper into recession. But for the world's poorest, the slide may be from poverty into starvation. Some of the most influential players in international development gathered in London to put out a stark message. Aid to developing nations is essential because their populations should be part of the solution to the global crisis.
3 billion people, half the world, who are poor. They cannot buy. If they produce, they're wealthy, and we and they benefit. It is so childishly simple. Why do I and my colleagues have to argue for the tiny, infinitesimal sums of foreign aid from national governments?
Britain's Prime Minister used the occasion to announce a new World Bank-run vulnerability fund, while stressing the importance of sticking to poverty reduction targets set out a decade ago.
You see, some have argued that in these difficult times, the rich world should turn our back on the Millennium Development Goals and retreat from the promises that we have made to the poor. But I wanted to come here today to say that amidst all the other challenges of globalization, we must not and will not lose sight of our vision of a world freed from poverty.
As economies in rich nations shrink, the amount they give to poorer nations, a percentage of their gross domestic product, also shrinks. And what the speakers here today is stressing is that the developing world can ill afford to lose that cash. London is hosting the G20 summit meeting next month. And according to the World Bank, that's where political leaders will really be put to the test.
We hope that governments who are focusing in on their own domestic problems now will not forget that the impact of this crisis is hitting countries who are not the cause of the crisis and hitting the most vulnerable people. I mean, the World Bank projects that 46 million people more will fall into poverty in 2009, on top of the 130 million who already fell into poverty last year as a result of the food crisis.
Millions of people in developing nations will be hoping for firm commitments from the G20, even if those commitments are driven by self-interest. Nadim Baba, Al Jazeera, London.